Hello, today Andrew and I are debating which is better, the countryside or the city. First of all, what do you think makes the city, bugs, better than the countryside?
Well, it is nice here, but a little bit boring, would you not say?
No, never. It is peaceful.
What do you like to do out here then?
Walk, go for a run.
So exercise basically.
I like to exercise outdoors. Maybe it's more difficult in the city because you can't really go for a proper run because there are lots of cars and people, and it's too busy, and the parks are very small as well, so you end up just running the same routes over and over, whereas when you're in the countryside you can go anywhere and it's great. I really like it.
Well, that is one of the good things about Scotland. You are allowed to go anywhere. You're in some other countries you have what's known as trespassing, which means if somebody owns a piece of land, nobody's allowed on it. But here, you're free to roam, which is quite cool. But in terms of exercise, what about the gym? Do you not like going to the gym?
Not really, no. In the gym, you're indoors. It's not a very nice environment. Very sweaty, busy. I prefer to be outdoors.
There's good music and young people to talk to, or to at least stand beside.
I don't want to talk to anybody when I'm exercising. And in terms of music, I can easily put in headphones and listen to something when I'm out here. But the best music is the sound of nature.
Like that big tractor that just drove by. Tractor's a big vehicle that farmers use to plough fields.
Yes, that's part of the sound of nature.
Is it?
Yes, I think so.
Aye, okay.
Yeah, well.
What about another thing? For example, price, money. That's a good.
Well, your
topic.
money goes a lot further outside the city, does not?
If you're talking about where you live, then possibly. In the UK, in some of the cities, especially in London and in Scotland, Edinburgh, and if you're in Ireland, Dublin, rent, so the amount of money that you have to pay every month for accommodation can be hundreds and hundreds of pounds. It can be £800 even, London, maybe even £1,000 a month. Some of the smaller cities it might be half of that, but out here for that amount of money you could probably get quite a big bit of land. So in terms of accommodation, yes, but for everything else, food's more expensive. If you want, for example, it's a really nice day here today, it's 25 degrees, very warm. Michael has his nice Italian sunglasses on and I have forgotten mine, and there are no shops to buy a pair, so I'm stuck.
That's just, you weren't prepared. When you're out in the country you have to prepare for things like this.
Yes, but if we were in the city, I go, oh no, I've forgotten whatever it is, I would just pop into this shop, pay my money, there you go, pair of sunglasses.
Okay.
Out here, I'm stuck.
I understand your point, yes. The city can be a lot more, what would you say?
Convenient.
Convenient, yes, convenient. But I don't really have an argument against that, to be honest. Yes, there's not many shops out here. If you need to go out and buy lots of food, like a big shop or other things, you may have to travel for quite a while to get there.
One thing though, I know I'm arguing for the city, but one thing is, if you live in a big city, no matter what you think of doing, 10,000 other people have probably had the same thought, which can be quite annoying. And out here we are basically by ourselves, which is fantastic.
Yes, waiting in queues does not exist in the countryside.
Anyway, what's this?
Oh, here. This, I believe, is barley.
Yep.
I believe. You know what that's for.
Yeah, it's barley. It's what you make beer out of, and bread. Beer and bread and stews. Stews are Stews were very popular a long time ago in the past, when people had less money and a little bit of meat, so a little bit of beef from cows or pork, or maybe a little bit of chicken, and they had to feed a lot of people. So what they would do is they would take lots of vegetables, so carrots, potatoes, cabbage, whatever they had, chop all of that up, put it in a pot, put their little bit of meat in, add some barley or something else like that, and there you have a massive big pot of food. But I prefer my barley going towards beer, because what's better than for example, on a day like this, a pint of beer? There's nothing better.
Yes, a pint of beer sitting out in your large garden in the countryside.
That's another thing though, where's the closest pub here? If we were in the city, there would be 5 on every single street.
Yes, and they would all be full and you wouldn't be able to get in.
Full of young people.
Maybe. But in the countryside you have maybe one pub or bar, and it's your local.
And we found this out when we went on holiday in Scotland earlier on this year, and there was one pub, and it was a very nice pub, but if you went more than one night, the exact same people were in there.
Yes,
and they were all much older than us.
The same friendly faces.
So if you want exactly the same chat, exactly the same conversation every day, find a place where there's one pub and go there.
That is true. That is true. It can get a little bit boring sometimes.
Anyway, what about this?
Oh yes, so behind us here, let's see. So we have lots of grass which has been cut and piled up on the field. And what the farmers are doing they are drying out the grass. So
yeah, it's really, really dry.
Yeah, so especially with weather like this, it's perfect. So they put the grass onto the field and they let the sun dry it out, and then it turns a yellow colour.
Like this, turns a bit yellow.
And then what they do is they actually turn the grass, and then the sun dries the other side, and then I believe that's hay.
I think they put it into big black bags. Big black bags, sometimes even into a big tower, and then they leave that for however long, maybe a week, a couple of weeks, not sure. And then they have their animal feed, so the pigs and the cows will tuck into that.
And the horses.
Through the winter?
I guess so.
When the weather turns?
Yes. I've also heard stories that farmers sometimes steal grass from each other. So there's like wars between the farmers.
Grass wars. Aye.
And they can also steal sheep and cows. I've heard all these stories. Yeah. But
another thing, social life. Have we mentioned that?
Well, we were talking about the pubs a little bit, but okay, let's talk about social life. So, how is the city better than the countryside for social life?
There are always people to meet. There's always new people. There's always a mix. Well, it depends on the city. If you're in London, for example, an international city, there are people from pretty much every part of the world to talk to. So if you're ready to put yourself out there,
yep,
you never know who you're going to meet.
Yes, I guess so. But let me think of my argument for the countryside.
You're struggling.
Social life in the countryside.
Maybe if we have this same argument in 20 years' time, you will be much more prepared.
We are quite young and we like vibrant nightlife and things like that. And yes, it doesn't really exist in the countryside. But one of my most favourite things is just sitting in your garden with a cold beer.
What about down here, beside the river?
Okay, let's go see the water side. So, in fact, yes, this could be a really good day or night out with your friends. You could come down to the water side and swim.
Have a few beers.
You could have a few beers. You could climb up this big dead tree here and jump into the water.
So this is probably winter time, isn't it, when this happened? Show the tree.
Oh, okay. There.
Because obviously right now we have perfect weather, 25 degrees, sun. But I guess middle of winter you probably get really strong winds and storms here. And it's actually torn this tree, torn it out of its roots, torn up the roots, and here it's been left in the river. I mean, how old do you think that is? That's probably
500 years old.
This isn't Harry Potter. Jeez. Trees aren't 500 years old. I don't know, but it's decades anyway. Decades is 10 years. So I don't know, but it's an old tree anyway. But
It's a cool little beach.
it's a bit of a shame. Yeah, it's a nice little beach. Let's see if I can find a stone to skim.
Okay,
No. Oh, here's one. Let's go.
go.
That was actually
Honestly,
quite
that
good.
was quite good. I was going to make fun of you, but that was quite good.
Let's
Okay,
go
let's
back,
move on.
let's go back to the path. Right,
Yeah.
what else? One more. Let's see if we can think of another couple of topics.
Hmm. Countryside versus city.
Well, we could actually talk about maybe Scotland for an example, because Scotland is quite a small country, and we are in the middle of the countryside here, but we're actually only about half an
Sure,
hour
we're going
maybe.
the wrong way.
No, we're not. We walk through here,
Okay.
walk round.
Pardon my French.
Pardon my French. That's normally what you say when you swear. If you go, ah, yeah. Pardon my French. But it doesn't really work anymore because our dad speaks French. So you'll be like, that's not French.
And
We'll be like-
he swears a lot.
And we'll be like, all right, see you later.
Okay.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
You were
Oh, yeah,
you were
Scotland.
talking about being in Scotland and not very far away from anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Which is actually. So are you arguing for the countryside now?
No, I'm talking about the Scotland, because it's quite a small country, and the way that the geography is. The countryside, you have flat land, flat in the south where most of the people live. Glasgow, biggest city. But this is less than 1 hour drive from the centre of the city, and you have mountains here, and so actually just over there are lots of new houses, so houses that have been built in the last 10 years, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you do actually get some people that live here out in the countryside, and then they drive every morning to work,
Commute. They commute.
or nowadays maybe work from home some of the days, then drive in. That's another thing actually, transport in the countryside
So
is more difficult.
I guess if you're in the countryside, you need a car.
If you don't have a car and you're relying on buses, you could be waiting once, and you could have to wait an hour for a bus. There could be one bus every hour, sometimes even only 3 or 4 buses every day, depending on the route, how busy a route, how popular a route it is. Often there are no trains. Trains are a really good way of moving about in the UK, but if you're out in the middle of nowhere in the countryside, there's probably not going to be many trains.
Yes, but
So you need a car basically. So if you live in the city, you don't need a car. If you live outside the city, you need a car.
you
so
could
there you
just
go, that's another-
you could just buy a banger, which is the name we use for a really cheap rubbish car, and
Yes.
that could get you around.
Yes, but you buy a very cheap car and you're driving about in the north of Scotland or somewhere else, and you break down and you phone the breakdown people or the services or the service people, and they say, where are you? And you go, I am blah blah blah, and they go, right, okay, see you in 4 hours.
Okay, but
So you go another walk. There you go, you can go a walk for 4 hours
run home.
with no water and no food. And the weather's probably not going to be like this.
No, this isn't very rare. This is quite rare in Scotland, but congestion.
That's true.
Congestion.
I
There are
think
no traffic jams in the
I
countryside.
think in the UK the average commute is the travelling from your home to work
Mhm.
is 1 hour. So on average, every person in the UK that goes to work, spends 2 hours every day travelling to and then from work. So 2 hours every day.
That's a
It's a lot
long,
of time.
long time.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
Okay, you hold this.
Right, okay.
And I'll climb over. Ooh,
There's a little barbed wire fence here. Barbed wire.
okay, pass the camera.
That's to stop animals, isn't it?
Yes.
And people like us.
Okay, so I'll try not to slip. Eh.
It's a nice little...
It's really nice down here.
Yeah, maybe not deep enough, the water there to jump in, but...
But yes, who wants to spend all their time in a traffic jam, in their car, in their vehicle, on the road, stuck behind other drivers, and they're all really angry, so they all have road rage. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, I have to admit, I get road rage sometimes. In fact, I was hitting my steering wheel yesterday.
He's really bad. I'm not so bad. But no, definitely no from me. I don't like congestion. I don't like lots of being stuck in traffic. No.
What I would say though is in the city, yes, sometimes at certain times at peak hours, in the rush hour, so that would normally be from about, they call it the rush hour, but normally it's longer than an hour. In London it will probably be from 6:30 in the morning until 9, 9:30. And in the evening probably 4:30 until 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So if you have to travel in these times, yes, there's a huge draw from the countryside because you're just going to save so much time. But see, if you don't work these normal hours, which lots of people don't, for example, if you, I don't know, work in a hospital or work shifts. Shifts is when you work set times outside of the normal 9 in the morning until 5. If you work in shifts patterns and you don't have to travel at these peak times, then you've got all of the services and not many people. So you get all the advantages and not many of the disadvantages of the wasted time and the frustration of sitting behind yet another terrible driver. Or, yeah.
That's true, but for most people they work maybe 9 to 5, so very common work hours, so they will get stuck in traffic.
Another thing as well, if you've got children, you don't really, do you want your children to grow up where there aren't any other kids? If you live out in the middle of you might live in the nicest place in the world, but if there are no schools, or if there's one tiny little school, then who are your kids going to be friends with?
Yeah, sometimes there are very small schools in the countryside where there are very few kids, but most of the time there are kids, there are children, because these places aren't empty. There is a community, and a very strong community as well, and that can be good for children growing up.
It can be bad though if you like privacy, because you're going to have people interested in your day-to-day life.
Yes,
hello, how are
gossip.
you today? So if you like talking to people, yes. If you don't, no.
But it's really nice when you're in the countryside and everyone you pass likes to say hello and ask how you are. But in the city, people just ignore you. It's as if they're scared to talk to you.
It is quite funny because, for example, we are out right now walking through the forest, through nature basically, and we've met maybe 5 or 6 people, and every single person, they might not have a big smile on their face, but they say hello, how are you, blah blah blah. If you spend quite a lot of time here and then you go to the city and you're in the habit of saying hello to people, it's quite funny because often if you say to somebody hello in for example London, they will look at you as if you've got something wrong with you, as if you're crazy.
I'm actually going to argue for the city right now. There are lots of insects biting my legs.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's not very nice. I don't know what they are. They're like big flies.
Yeah,
and they actually bite you, and they leave big red lumps.
We don't get many mosquitoes in the north in Scotland, and
no,
it's more in the south of England and in Europe. Mosquitoes they give bad bites and they swell up, and they make a lot of noise. We don't really get many mosquitoes. We get midges, which are smaller, but they're in huge numbers, and these things are terrible. And also right now, the flies that Michael's talking about are called horse flies, and they are big flies, and when they bite you, you know all about it because it's really, really quite sore, and your skin, you actually bleed. They pierce your skin, and it's really horrible. So we're going to maybe walk a little bit faster because up here we've got these interesting
Yeah.
looking, what are they?
I honestly don't know the name.
Turn the camera around.
Yes. Here, coming up.
Almost mushroom looking plants.
Yes, they're. All I know is that they have poison on them.
Poison, so you don't want to go. You want to keep a safe distance from these.
So if you touch these, you'll get whatever it is, the poison on you, and then when you enter the sun, it can actually burn your skin.
Oof, that
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
sound
not very nice. So we're
very
going
nice.
to try to avoid those. There's also nettles here, and
Nettles is a good one to show.
oh,
Nettles are very common in Britain.
Yes, I'm not going to touch any though.
Show-
but if I
show a
see any,
nettle.
oh here.
Yeah, so if you touch these, it will sting you and it will swell up, and it's really quite. I wouldn't say painful. I'd say
And what are these, Andy?
uncomfortable.
In here,
Oh, sticky willy.
sticky willy. So
We used to play with this when we were at school.
show what we used to do.
So you would rip a bit of sticky willy, and then when one of your friends turned round, you'd slap it on their back because it sticks. Is it stuck?
Yeah, it's stuck. It's
It's
stuck.
Yeah. So you would try and get as big a piece on your friend's back as possible,
Without them
and
noticing.
either try and do it without them noticing, so they would walk around oblivious, or you would try and put it right in the middle of their back, because then they couldn't reach it.
The city version of this game is sticking a sign onto someone's back, a bit of paper with "kick me" on it.
Yeah, it's a classic Simpsons.
But in the countryside, we play sticky willies.
It's a classic Bart Simpson
Yes, exactly.
joke, that. But I think Sticky Willie's funny.
Yes. And these are games you can learn to play if
Yeah,
you
but you
grow
need-
up in the
you-
countryside.
You need Sticky Willie.
There's
it doesn't
sticky
grow everywhere.
willy everywhere here.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. But aye.
Oh, okay, so I think we've made our point. I don't know who won. Countryside? City?
Probably in between. Towns. Go for towns.
Towns, yeah, so towns are like in between. They're not quite a city and they're not quite full countryside. Maybe they have the best of everything. We're just terrible debaters, I think. We got confused and lost. I was arguing for the city for a little bit, and you were going on about how good the countryside was. So maybe next time we need a little bit more structure. But anyway, I think that's all
Yep.
for now.
That's.
So thank you for watching and listening, and subscribe and like this video, and we'll do more debates, better debates than this
In the future.
in the future. Yes. So bye.
Yeah, see you later, bye.
What's that when you